I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Capras, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. She says that then I've started my studies in Montessori Nursery School, means with the primary classes, and there she stayed for 6 years. And means not for 6 years, means until she was 6. At that time, she started her studies in class first, and in class 6th, Mrs. Kupras, she herself was the principal, and they were so connected that at the end of the session, when they were departing, so both were in tears. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation, so my birthday passed with little celebration. Means now her grandmother got ill and she had to be operated. That's why there was no kind of celebration on her birthday in 1949. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. Now, Grandma died, and she says that I miss her very much. I remembers I remember her very much, and still she loved. Now, her birthday in 1942, it was celebrated to make up for means kami puri karna. So, in the remembrance or to making up for the other people who died, उनकी कमी पूरी करने के लिए उनकी याद में उसका बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट किया गया. And with the other candles which are lit on birthday, the candle for grandma also lit there on this occasion. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to present date of 20th June 1942 and the solemn decision of my not decision dedication of my diary. Four of us means all the four family members, father, mother, and both the sisters. Okay, so now she talks about her diary entry on 20th June 1942. So upcoming is the description or the diary entry of 20th June 1942, that was Saturday. She writes, Dearest Kitty. And who is Kitty? This is the name of her diary. Our entire class is quaking in its boots. Quaking in its boot means fear, dar or hatasha, shaking with fear and nervousness. Now they are fearful and nervous also. Why? The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form. Next form here means class. Who will be upgraded and who will be kept back. Means कौन अगली क्लास में जाएगा, कौन इसी क्लास में रहेगा. So that will be decided in the upcoming or forthcoming meeting. Half the class is making bets. Now they are making bets also that who will get passed and who will be kept back. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jakes, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet. And two boys who were betting, जो कि शर्त लगा रहे, bet means शर्त लगाना, वो शर्त लगा रहे थे, and they have spent their savings, holiday savings on the bet only. So both the girls laughed on the boys, CN and Jakes. From morning to night, it's you are going to pass, no I'm not, yes you are, no I'm not. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outbursts can't calm them down. You ask me, if you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. Now she says that for the whole day, everyone was talking in the class on the same topic, that who will be upgraded and who will remain in the same class. Okay, but and she herself says this thing, that many dummies are there. Dummies here means foolish people, foolish students. So there are, she says that there are many foolish students in the class. So according to me, 1/4 of the class should be kept back. But it was not so. That's why she says the teachers are the most unpredictable. Unpredictable means that cannot be predicted, जिसके बारे में पहले कुछ भी नहीं कहा जा सकता है, पूर्वानुमान नहीं लगाया जा सकता है. That is unpredictable creatures on the earth. She says, लेकिन वो कहती है कि मेरे हिसाब से तो 1/4 क्लास को अपग्रेड नहीं करना चाहिए, उनको इसी क्लास में रहना चाहिए. ऐसे फुलिश, ऐसे मूर्ख भी हैं, ऐसे डमीज भी हैं हमारी क्लास में. बट शी सेज द टीचर्स आर मोस्ट अनप्रेडिक्टेबल क्रिएचर्स ऑन अर्थ. लेकिन टीचर्स के बारे में कुछ कहा नहीं जा सकता है, वो शायद उनको प्रोमोट भी कर दे. Further she says, I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself will make it. Make it means we get past. The only subject I'm not sure is maths. She was very much worried about maths. She was not at all sure about maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. Means वो एक दूसरे का धैर्य बंधा रहे थे, एक दूसरे को एनकरेज कर रहे थे जब तक कि रिजल्ट्स डिक्लेयर नहीं हो जाते. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. She says, get along with means good relations with all teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Kissing or Casing, the all foggy. All foggy means the person who believes in all rituals, पुराने रीति रिवाज या old fashioned person. So Mr. Foggy means Mr. Casing, who was an old foggy who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. Now, from these lines, we can say that she was very much talkative. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. Due to her habit of talkativeness, बहुत ज़्यादा बातूनी थी, बातें करती रहती थी, तो she was assigned an extra homework, that was write an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. A chatterbox, what you can write about it? I would worry about that letter. I decided I jotted down. Jotted down means write down in short. The title in my notebook and tucked it in my bag and tried to keep quiet. Now, when she was assigned the work, she just wrote it down in the notebook, the title, and she tucked, she put it in the bag and tried to keep quiet. Now she started thinking about that topic, that what to write. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. Means in the evening, while she thought about that topic, means she had the pen in her hand and she started thinking about the topic, that what to write. Anyone could ramble on means talk or write aimlessly for long, means लंबी चौड़ी बकवास करना या बेकार की बातें लिखना. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. Now she thought कि कोई भी लिख सकता है, वर्ड्स के बीच में गैप रख के जितने पेजेस भरने भर सकते हैं, बट एग्जैक्ट उसको क्या करना चाहिए एग्जैक्टली कि उसको प्रूव करना चाहिए कि टॉकेटिवनेस की क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है. मीन्स दो शी वॉज टॉकेटिव, तो उसको वो प्रूव करना था कि एक चैटर बॉक्स मीन्स टॉकेटिवनेस के लिए कहा गया है कि ज़्यादा बातें करने की क्या इंपॉर्टेंस, उसको अपने जो आर्ग्यूमेंट था उसको कन्विंस करना था. I thought and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote 3 pages Mr. Casing had assigned me and was satisfied. I argued that talking is a student's trait, and trait means characteristics, charitrik visheshta. So she said this thing, that this is the trait of any student's. Talkativeness is a trait, and that I would do my best to keep it under control. Means from his argument, or with the help of argument she convinced, or she was able to convince, or we can say she wrought to convince the teacher that talkativeness is not the bad thing, but that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit, since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there is not much you can do about inherited traits. Now, she convinced that this is inherited in me from my mother, that my mother also is talkative as I am, that's why I can't help in it, or we can say that's why she is means and Frank is so talkative. She convinced in that essay that I'll try to keep calm or keep mum, or I'll talk less, but I can't help. My mother herself is so much talkative as I am, and that's why these are inherited traits, means these are the inherited qualities which I get from my parents. Mr. Casing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me the second essay. This time it was supposed to be on an incorrigible. Incorrigible means that cannot be cured, corrected, जिसको सुधारा नहीं जा सकता है, चैटर बॉक्स. I handed it in, and Mr. Casing had nothing to complain about 2 whole lessons. However, during the third lesson, he would finally had enough, and Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. Now, in first essay, she tried to convince the teacher that it is inherited, and in the next classes she continuously talked as much as she used to. But again the teacher assigned her the second essay, and it was the topic was an incorrigible chatterbox, means unchanged chatterbox, means that cannot be corrected, a chatterbox. Okay, and he told her to write. After that, when she was continuously talking, at after 2 lessons also, he gave another punishment for talking in the class. What was that? To write an essay on the topic Quack Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. That was the topic means that was the third topic for her to write, and that was is a punishment for her. The class roared, means the entire class laughed. I had to laugh too. Thought I would nearly exhausted my ingenuity means originality and inventiveness on the topic of chatterboxes. Means she says that I completed means I given all the ideas related to chatterbox. I don't have any idea related to chatterbox now in my mind, so everything was exhausted related to that topic. It was time to come up with something else. Means now she had to get something else. She had to get some new ideas from somewhere or something original. My friend San, who is good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, means write a poetry on this topic. And I jumped for joy. Means she got happy when her friend gave idea that instead of writing an essay, you must write in verse or poetry. So she got very happy that she got a new idea. Mr. Casing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject, but I'd make sure the joke was on him. Now, she says that the teacher was trying to make joke on her, but she herself says that entire thing was about the teacher only. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with three baby ducklings who were beaten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Casing took the joke the right way. He read the poem to the class, adding his own comments. Now, she wrote the complete poetry, means the poem she wrote, and it was about a duck and ducklings, and means mother duck and the little ducklings, the kids of the duck. Okay, and the matter was in it that the father kills those ducklings because they were very much quacking. Okay, and she says that luckily Mr. Kissing had taken it in the right way as it was written. He explained the class, adding his own comments, and to several other classes as well. Means he liked that poem very much, and he explained that poem not only my class but several other classes also. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and have not been assigned any extra homework. Now, because he was very much impressed with that poem, so she was allowed now for chatting, for talking, and she was not at all given any extra homework for her habit. On the contrary, Mr. Casing always making jokes these days. Now, he himself was making joke these days because he changed himself. The teacher himself changed because she wrote so good. And finally, she writes Yours Annie, and that is extracted from the Diary of Young Girl with slight adaptation, means with the slight changes. It was as it is. It was taken from the Diary of a Young Girl written by Anne Frank.